The sound of your own irrelevance is a cheap electronic chirp. Declined. It's a word that hangs in the air, thick and sticky like the summer humidity outside the big box store's automatic doors. The cashier, a girl no older than my granddaughter Lily, with hair the colour of toxic waste and a silver stud in her nose, doesn't even look at me. She just taps a long acrylic nail on her glowing screen. Her boredom is an insult. "Try it again," she asks, her voice flat. I feel a flush of heat crawl up my neck, a hot, prickly blanket of shame. Behind me, a man sighs the sound, loud and impatient. A woman's shopping cart squeaks as she shifts her weight. They are a jury, and I've just been found guilty of what? Wasting their time being old, I push my credit card back into the slot. The little machine whirs for a second, a moment of agonizing hope before it chirps again. That same final unforgiving sound. Declined. My heart is thumping against my ribs now, a frantic little bird trapped in a cage. This is impossible. "Just a moment," I say, my voice sounding thin, reedy. I fumble in my purse, my fingers suddenly clumsy old. My wallet feels alien in my hands. I pull out my debit card, my pension, my solid, reliable, always there pension. It was deposited just 2 days ago. I know it was. I checked the balance online yesterday morning. It's my ritual. Coffee toast check the bank account. A little thrill of security. A lifetime of work of scrimping of being sensible distilled into a 5-digit number. I slide the debit card in. The cashier raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. The machine takes longer this time. It's thinking. It's judging. Then the verdict displayed in stark red letters on the screen. Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds, I whisper the words. They taste like ash in my mouth. It can't be. The total is $78.14. $78. I had over 7,000. The money for my property taxes was in there. The money for the new water heater. The money for this, for my groceries. A carton of milk, a loaf of whole wheat bread, a small roasting chicken. The simple architecture of a quiet life. "Mom," the cashier says, and now there's a flicker of something in her eyes. Not annoyance anymore. Pity. It's so much worse. "Do you have another way to pay?" The man behind me clears his throat. "Can we get this moving?" he mutters. My hands are shaking. I can't look at the cashier. I can't look at the people behind me. I can only stare at my groceries on the conveyor belt. The chicken, pale and pathetic under the fluorescent lights. The bright green of the broccoli. A small indulgence. A bar of dark chocolate with almonds. It all looks like evidence of a crime I didn't know I was committing. "No," I manage to say. "I'm sorry, I have to leave them." I turn and walk away. I don't run. I walk with a deliberate, painful slowness, as if I'm wading through mud. I can feel the cashier's pitying stare burning into my back like a brand. I push through the automatic doors, and the humid Illinois air hits me thick and suffocating. The parking lot shimmers in the late afternoon sun. My car, a sensible 10-year-old sedan, feels like a stranger's. For the first time in 75 years, I feel utterly, terrifyingly unmoored. This isn't just a mistake. This isn't a glitch in the system. This is a crack. A deep, seismic crack in the very foundation of my life, and I have a sickening feeling that I'm about to fall right through it. The drive home is a blur. The familiar streets of Willow Creek, the tidy lawns, and the old oak trees, they all look like a set for a play in which I've forgotten my lines. I park in my own driveway in front of my own house, the house Richard and I bought 45 years ago. It doesn't feel like mine anymore. It feels like a stage. My hand is trembling so hard I can barely unlock the front door. Inside the silence is a physical presence. I don't turn on the lights. I sit in my armchair, the one Richard always favoured, and I dial the number I know by heart. My son's number. David answers on the second ring. "Mum, everything okay?" His voice is smooth, professional. The voice he uses for his clients, not his mother. "David," I say, and my own voice cracks. "Something's wrong. My cards, they were declined. My bank account, it says there's no money. There's a pause. It's not a surprised pause. It's a calculated pause. I can hear the faint sound of a television in the background, a sitcom laugh track, then another voice, feminine sharp. Sophia. What is it, honey? It's my mum. David says, his voice muffled as he talks to her. Then he's back on the line with me. Okay, Mum. Don't panic. We'll be right over. Just stay put. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. The words echo in the silent house long after I've hung up. It's what I've been told my whole life. Don't worry your pretty little head, Elizabeth. I'll handle it, Elizabeth. Just stay put, Elizabeth. They arrive less than 20 minutes later. They use their own key. The sound of it in the lock sends a jolt of ice through my veins. They don't walk in looking worried. They walk in looking resolved, like two surgeons about to perform a difficult but necessary operation. David is wearing a crisp polo shirt, his jaw set. Sophia is in a stylish cream-coloured pantsuit, a look of strained professional sympathy plastered on her face. Her smile is a thin, tight slash of red lipstick. They don't hug me. They don't ask if I'm all right. They guide me to the sofa, one on each side, and sit me down in my own living room, as if I were a fragile, disoriented patient. The coffee table between us feels like a barricade. David leans forward, his hands clasped between his knees. He's rehearsed this. I can see it in the way he takes a deep, deliberate breath before he speaks. Mum, he begins, his tone calm, measured, dripping with a condescension that makes my skin crawl. We need to have a serious talk. Sophia places a cool, dry hand on my arm. We're so worried about you, Elizabeth. Worried, I say, my voice a croak. My money is gone, David. Someone has stolen my money. David shakes his head slowly. A sad, knowing little smile on his lips. No one stole your money, Mum. I did it. The confession is so blunt, so devoid of shame, it knocks the air from my lungs. I stare at him, my son. The little boy I taught to ride a bike, whose scraped knees I bandaged, whose college tuition I paid for without a second thought. I cancelled your credit card, he says, his voice still infuriatingly calm. And I worked with the bank to place a temporary freeze on your main account. What? I pull my arm away from Sophia's grasp. Her smile doesn't falter. It's for your protection, Mum, he continues, leaning in his eyes, boring into mine. We've been concerned for a while now. Your spending habits, the online orders. It's just so easy for seniors to be taken advantage of. There are so many scams out there. Scams. I almost laugh, a hysterical broken sound. I buy books and I pay my utility bills online, David. I'm not wiring my life savings to a Nigerian prince. Of course not, Sophia chimes in, her voice a syrupy balm of fake understanding. But you're not as sharp as you used to be, Elizabeth. It's okay. It happens to everyone. We just want to make sure you're safe, that your assets are protected. My assets. They say the word like it's a medical condition. Not my home, not my savings, my assets. Then David reaches into his leather briefcase and pulls out a glossy trifold brochure. He slides it across the polished surface of the coffee table. It stops right in front of me. The paper is thick, expensive. The picture on the front is of a sprawling manicured lawn in front of a modern brick building that looks more like a resort than a hospital. In elegant looping script, the title reads, Serenity Meadows. I look from the brochure to my son's face. And I see it. The truth. It's not concern in his eyes. It's avarice. It's cold, hard calculation. They're not protecting me. They're packaging me. They're getting me ready for storage, a luxury assisted living facility, Sophia says, her voice bright, as if she's presenting me with a winning lottery ticket. It's beautiful. They have a pool art classes, chef-prepared meals. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. You'd be surrounded by people your own age, David adds. We found a lovely little suite with a garden view. They want my house. The house with its 45 years of memories. The pencil marks on the doorframe, measuring David's height, the worn spot on the carpet where Richard's armchair used to be. They want my savings. The nest egg Richard and I built penny by penny, sacrifice by sacrifice. They want to liquidate my life and deposit it into their own accounts. The performance is flawless. A perfectly orchestrated play of loving concern. They have an answer for everything. When I stammer about my independence, they talk about my safety. When I talk about my home, they talk about the burden of maintenance. When I talk about my money, they talk about protecting me from myself. They have redefined me in the space of a single conversation, from a competent woman to a doddering, irresponsible child. The betrayal is so clean, so surgical, it leaves me breathless. There is no shouting, no anger, just the cold, quiet logic of a hostile takeover. This isn't a crime of passion. It's a business plan, and I am the asset being liquidated. After they leave, promising to call in the morning to start the paperwork, the house feels like a tomb. The silence they leave behind is heavier, more profound than the silence before. It's the silence of a life that has just been declared over. I don't move from the sofa. I sit in the gathering dark, the glossy Serenity Meadows brochure, a poison dart on the table in front of me. My mind is a maelstrom of shock and grief. How did it come to this? I try to pinpoint the moment, the decision, the single misstep that led me to this precipice. And then slowly, like something swimming up from the deepest, murkiest part of a lake, a memory surfaces. It's the kitchen 20 years ago. The old yellow wallpaper before I had it redone. Richard is at the table, his reading glasses perched on his nose, a stack of mail in front of him. He's holding a credit card bill. "Elizabeth," he says, not looking up. "I'm adding David to our main credit card account as an authorized user. I'm at the sink washing vegetables. Why would you do that, Richard? He has a job." He finally looks at me, his expression patient, a little weary. It's the look he always gave me when he was about to explain the world of adult finances. A world he believed I was too simple to ever truly comprehend. "For emergencies, honey. If something happens to us, he needs to be able to access funds quickly, to take care of things, to take care of you." I remember nodding. It made sense. Richard always made the decisions. He chose the house, the car, the investment portfolios. He handled the money. My role was to manage the home, raise our son, to be the quiet, supportive partner. I was a passenger in the vehicle of our life, and he was firmly in the driver's seat. I trusted him completely, and in trusting him, I had unknowingly handed my son the very tool he would one day use to cut my lifeline. The memory is a bitter pill. It's a testament to a lifetime of my own passivity. I sink deeper into the sofa, the cushions sighing around me. The despair is a physical weight pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. They've won. They've thought of everything. I'm 75 years old with no access to money, and a son who is trying to have me declared incompetent. What can I possibly do? The game is over. I close my eyes. The image of David's face floats in the darkness. Not his face tonight, cold and hard, but his face at 18. Lanky, a little awkward, full of a nervous excitement that was contagious. He's standing in this very living room, surrounded by boxes, ready to leave for college, the first in our family to go. Richard was so proud. I was so proud. And then it hits me. It's not a gentle wave of memory. It's a lightning bolt. A full system shocking jolt of electricity that shoots through my entire body. My eyes snap open. College. The memory is so sharp, so vivid, it's like I'm there again. I'm not in my dark living room. I'm at a small cluttered desk in a branch of the Willow Creek Community Bank. The air smells of old paper and disinfectant. A young man in an ill-fitting suit is sliding a form across the desk to me. David is sitting beside me, bouncing his leg nervously. Richard had refused to give him a credit card. "He needs to learn the value of $1, he'd said. "He can work a campus job." But I'd worried. What if he needed books? What if his car broke down? What if there was an emergency and he couldn't reach us? So I did something without telling Richard. I went to the bank with David and I opened a new credit card account. A simple one with a low limit just for him. For his books and his meals and a little bit of freedom. The memory is crystal clear. The feel of the cheap ballpoint pen in my hand, the boxes on the application form, and one box in particular, the one for the primary account holder. I see my own hand, my younger hand, writing my name, Elizabeth Ann Miller. And then on the line below for the authorized user David Richard Miller, my breath catches in my throat. I sit bolt upright on the sofa. He still uses it. I know he does. I've seen the card in his wallet, a newer, updated version of the same design. Over the years, the credit limit had been raised automatically. It went from a student card with a $500 limit to a premium card with a limit in the tens of thousands. He probably doesn't even remember how the account was opened. He thinks it's his. He's so successful now, so arrogant, so convinced of his own brilliance. He would never have bothered to go through the hassle of closing an old, perfectly good account and opening a new one in his own name. Why would he? It worked. He cut me off from my money. He froze my pension. He seized control of the account Richard put his name on. He built a perfect, inescapable financial prison for me. But he forgot. In his meticulous, cold-hearted planning, in his arrogant dismissal of me as a feeble old woman, he forgot about the one loose thread. The one account that's not in his name. It's in mine. I am the primary. He is just the user. A feeling spreads through my chest, chasing away the cold despair. It's a hot, fierce, unfamiliar feeling. It's power. He severed my financial lifeline, but in doing so, he left his own dangling right in front of me. He thought he was taking the keys to my kingdom. He forgot I've been holding the keys to his all along. The tomb doesn't feel like a tomb anymore. It feels like a war room, and the battle is just beginning. My hands, etched with the roadmap of 75 years, tremble as I lift the lid of the old laptop. It feels like an artifact from another life, a relic from a time before Richard. Past a time when the world of screens and logins felt like a distant country I had no need to visit. The machine groans to life, a slow, whirring complaint against the years of disuse. Dust motes dance in the column of light from the window, illuminated by the tired blue glow of the screen. The banking website loads with agonizing slowness. Login. The word itself feels like a challenge, a gate guarded by a forgotten password. I type in what I think it might be. Access denied. Again. Access denied. My frustration mounts a hot, tight feeling in my chest. This is what they counted on, wasn't it? That I was too old, too out of touch a relic myself. That I would simply give up. But the shame of the grocery store, the cashier's pitying eyes, the cold, clinical finality in David's voice. That is a fuel I haven't felt in decades. I click on Forgot Password. The security questions appear, ghosts of a life I built. What was the name of your first pet? Rusty. A golden retriever with a perpetually wagging tail. What is your mother's maiden name? Clark. A name I haven't written in 60 years. In what city did you meet your spouse? Chicago. The memory is so sharp it stings a jazz club downtown. The scent of rain on pavement, Richard's easy smile. A new password is set. I type it in my fingers, stiff and uncertain. And then I'm in. The layout is stark, impersonal. Numbers and columns, a cold summary of a life's savings. My eyes scan, searching until they find it. Credit cards. I click. And there on the screen is the validation, the first solid proof that I am not losing my mind. The world contracts to these few words, glowing white on blue. Card account, ending in 4822. Primary card holder, Elizabeth A. Thompson. My breath catches. Primary. Not a shared account. Not a joint responsibility. Mine. And beneath it a second line. Authorized user David M. Thompson. Authorized. Not owner. Not partner. A guest in my financial house. A guest who had tried to burn the house down with me inside it, never realizing I still held the master key. I click on View Statements. The screen refreshes and a list of PDF icons appears, a neat, orderly column stretching back years. A digital history of my son's life, paid for by my name, my credit, my history. I click on the most recent statement. It unspools across the screen a litany of transactions, a map of his betrayal. And as I read, a feeling I cannot name washes over me. It is not warmth. It is not happiness. It is a cold, sharp, unfamiliar thrill. It feels like power. For the first time, I am not looking at my life through the prism of his needs, his wants, his emergencies. I am looking at his life through the lens of my control. And from this vantage point, everything looks different. I brew a pot of coffee, the bitter aroma filling the quiet kitchen. The sun is barely up, casting long, weak shadows across the floor, but I feel more awake than I have in years. I take my mug back to the laptop, its glow, now a beacon in the pre-dawn gloom. I open the statements one by one, going back months. I need to understand. I need to see the full shape of it. At first, it's exactly what I'd expect from the son I thought I knew, filtered through the cruel reality of the son he has become. The charges are a chronicle of a life lived far beyond his means, a life of casual, arrogant luxury. There are the restaurants, dozens of them. Names I've only seen in magazines. Alinea minus $1.250. Oriole minus $980. Smith minus $850. Each charge is a small, sharp stab. These are not business dinners, these are dates. Celebrations. For him and Sophia. Intimate moments of indulgence funded by the pension my husband worked 30 years to secure for me. I was never invited. I was never even told. I was just the silent, invisible benefactor. Then come the stores. Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus. Charges for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. A purse for Sophia, I imagine. A new suit for David. The kind of clothes they wear when they visit me, looking so successful, so concerned, their faces, a perfect mask of filial devotion. And the car, a recurring monthly lease payment of $950 to a luxury German automaker. My own car is a 10-year-old sedan I bought used. I drive it to the library and the grocery store. He drives his status symbol through the city, a rolling testament to my unwitting generosity. The bitterness tastes like acid in my throat. This is what they thought I was worth. An open wallet, a blank check. I scroll faster, a morbid curiosity pulling me deeper into the digital record of their lives. And that's when I see them, the anomalies. At first, my brain barely registers them, lost in the sea of high-end consumerism. But one catches my eye. It's not a restaurant. It's not a store. It's a name that means nothing to me. Eternum AI. 499,99. The charge is from last month. I scroll up. It's there the month before too. And the month before that. A recurring subscription. Nearly $500 a month. What is Eternum AI? Some kind of sophisticated software for his job at the investment firm. But even that doesn't feel right. It's too expensive. Too obscure. A cold knot tightens in my stomach. I keep scrolling. There's another one. Vox Clone Premium minus $199.99 month. Another subscription. Another name that sounds like something out of a science fiction novel. My mind is racing, trying to connect these strange, sterile names to the life of my son. They don't fit. They are puzzle pieces from a different box entirely. Then I see the third, and this one makes the hair on my arms stand up. Elysian Secure Hosting, minus $750 month. This one is different. It doesn't sound like software. It sounds like infrastructure. Secure hosting. It sounds technical. It sounds intentional. It sounds hidden. $750 every single month. For what? For who my heart is hammering against my ribs. This isn't about expensive dinners and fancy clothes anymore. This isn't just about a son bleeding his mother dry to keep up appearances. This is something else, something organized. A secret architecture built in the shadows, its foundations laid with my money, my credit, my name. I stare at the three names on the screen, the blinking cursor, a steady, mocking heartbeat. Eternum, Vox clone, Elysian. They feel like code words for a conspiracy I can't yet comprehend. The doorbell rings a few days later, a cheerful chiming sound that feels jarringly out of place in the tense quiet of my house. It's Lily, my granddaughter. She stands on the porch, her backpack slung over one shoulder, a worried frown creasing her young face. She is the light in the growing darkness of my family, a bright, empathetic soul who seems to have miraculously escaped the cold calculus of her parents. Gram, she says, her voice small. Can I come in? Mom and Dad are being so weird. I usher her inside my heart, aching for her. She is caught in the middle of this, an innocent bystander, to a war she doesn't even know is being waged. I make her a cup of hot chocolate the way I always have, and we sit at the kitchen table. The silence hangs between us for a moment. They're fighting, she says finally, stirring her cocoa with a spoon. More than usual, they whisper all the time. Whenever I walk into the room, they stop talking and just look at me. It's creepy. I'm sure it's just stress, sweetie. I say my voice, a careful performance of grandmotherly calm. They're worried about you, she says, looking up at me, her eyes wide and honest. They keep talking about Serenity Meadows and about money. I have to steer this, gently. I can't let her know the depths of what I'm discovering. It would break her. Well, I say, choosing my words with precision. Your dad's job must be very demanding. All that pressure. Lily snorts a small, humorless sound. That's when the world tilts on its axis. What job, she says, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Granddad lost his job at the firm, like 6 months ago. The spoon in my hand clatters against the ceramic mug. 6 months. The timeline clicks into place with sickening precision. 6 months of lies. 6 months of escalating expenses on my credit card. 6 months of this charade. They didn't tell you, Lily asks, her face a mixture of surprise and guilt, as if she's betrayed a sacred family secret. Oh, I guess I wasn't supposed to say anything. It's all right, sweetie. I managed to say, my throat tight. What have they been doing then for work? She leans forward, her voice even lower. They started this new online business. It's super weird. Mom's really excited about it, but Dad just seems stressed. He's on the computer all day and all night. I hold my breath. What kind of business? Lily shrugs, pulling her knees up to her chest. I don't really get it. Something about digital legacy management or grief tech. That's what Mom called it once. She said it's the future, helping people remember. Grief tech. The two words hang in the air, heavy and poisonous. They connect with the names on the credit card statement Eternum AI Vox clone, like a key turning in a lock. The vague, monstrous picture I've been assembling suddenly sharpens into horrifying focus. Grief tech. Helping people remember. Paid for by a secret infrastructure. Funded by my name. It's not a puzzle anymore. It's an indictment. That night, sleep is impossible. Lily's words echo in my mind. Grief tech. The house is dark, silent, but my old laptop casts a ghostly glow in the living room. I feel like an archaeologist on the verge of unearthing a cursed tomb. With trembling fingers, I open the web browser. The search bar blinks, waiting. I type the first name, Eternum AI. The results are not what you'd expect from a legitimate company. There's no glossy corporate website with a mission statement and a team photo. Instead, the top hits are forum posts on obscure tech-heavy websites. Reddit threads in subforums with names like Grey Hat AI and Digital Souls. The language is coded evasive, but the meaning is clear. Eternum AI is not a company, it's a service, a grey market service, on the bleeding, unregulated edge of the internet. I click on a link. A sparse black and white landing page. Loads. There are no pictures. Just text. Eternum AI. Preserve their essence. Bespoke deepfake video generation. Using existing photos and video, we create new, fully articulated video messages. You provide the script. We provide the memory. My blood runs cold. I read it again. Bespoke deepfake video creation. I know what deepfakes are. I've seen the news stories, politicians saying things they never said, actors' faces grafted onto other bodies. But this is different. This is a weaponization of memory. I scroll down and find a link to a demonstration video on a non-listed hosting site. I click it, a knot of dread tightening in my gut. A man appears on screen, an ordinary-looking man in his 60s. He's sitting in an armchair, smiling warmly. But something is wrong. His eyes don't quite track correctly. The movement of his mouth is just a fraction of a second, out of sync with his words. "Hello, Mary," the digital puppet says, its voice flat and synthetic. "I miss you. I'm so proud of you. Don't be sad. I'll always be with you." I slam the laptop shut. My heart is pounding, a frantic trapped bird in my chest. I feel nauseous. This is what David and Sophia are doing, selling counterfeit miracles to broken-hearted people. After a few minutes, I force myself to open the laptop again. I have to know the rest. I search for the second name, Voxclone. The result is the same. Shady forums, coded language, AI-powered voice replication from minimal audio samples. Their sales pitch is even more chilling. Just a few minutes of audio from old voicemails or home videos is all we need. Our proprietary AI will learn their unique cadence, tone, and inflection. Give your loved one their voice back. Forever. They aren't just creating silent movies of the dead, they are making them speak. Finally, with a sense of grim finality, I type in the last name. Elysian Secure Hosting. This search is more straightforward, but no less terrifying. It's a service based in a country with non-existent data privacy laws. It offers anonymous, untraceable offshore servers, bulletproof hosting. The kind used by criminals, by people who have something to hide. It's the digital equivalent of a secret offshore bank account. It's how they keep their entire operation invisible, protected from the families they exploit and the laws they are surely breaking. The business model lays itself bare before me on the glowing screen, a blueprint of profound cruelty. Step 1. Scour social media, Facebook, Instagram, for public posts from grieving families. Look for the raw emotional outpourings, the "I miss his voice so much," or "I'd give anything to see her smile one more time." Step 2. Scrape photos, videos, and audio clips from those same public profiles. Step 3. Use the services Aeternum and Voxclone to create a disturbingly realistic AI ghost of the deceased. Step 4. Contact the most vulnerable family member, the grieving widow, the devastated child, with an offer. An unholy service. For a price, we can keep their memory alive. We can let you talk to them again. You can get new video messages. Ask them questions. Hear them say they love you. An interactive haunting powered by AI and preying on the deepest of human sorrows. My son, my daughter-in-law, this is their grief tech. This is their future. A memory sharp and sudden as a shard of glass cuts through the fog of my horror. It's from a few months ago. Our neighbor Martha had passed away. A sweet woman I'd known for 30 years. At the wake, the house was filled with quiet grief. I was standing near the kitchen, and I overheard Sophia's voice, a low, urgent whisper to David. She was holding her phone, the screen glowing. "Look at her daughter's Instagram post," Sophia had murmured, her tone anything but sympathetic. It was sharp, analytical. Read the comments. All these people. I'd give anything to hear her voice one more time. Her smile could light up a room. There's a market there, David. A real market. I remember turning to look at them. David looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight, but Sophia's eyes had a gleam in them, a predatory light that I, in my naivete, had dismissed as a morbid, tasteless observation in a moment of communal sadness. But it wasn't an observation. It was a business plan. It was the moment of conception for their vile enterprise. She wasn't seeing a daughter's grief. She was seeing a customer profile. She wasn't hearing pain. She was hearing a $sign. The memory slams into me with the force of a physical blow. The pieces are all there, a complete and damning mosaic of their depravity. My son and his wife are not just thieves who wanted my house. They are not just liars who tried to lock me away. They are ghouls. They are grave robbers of the digital age. They are building a business by monetizing sorrow by selling a vile, blasphemous illusion to the vulnerable. And the engine for this entire depraved enterprise, the key that starts the ignition every single month, the financial wellspring that funds this desecration of memory, is the credit card in my name. The betrayal is absolute. It is a violation so profound it feels like it has hollowed me out, scooping out the love and leaving only a cold, hard, empty space. And in that space, a new resolve begins to form. Hard as granite, cold as steel. They used my name to build their monstrous machine, and I will use my name to tear it all down. The first light of dawn doesn't bring warmth. It feels clinical. It stripes the walls of my quiet house, illuminating dust motes, dancing in the air like tiny silent witnesses. For a long time, I just sit in Richard's old armchair, the one with the worn leather that still holds the faint scent of his pipe tobacco. I watch the sun climb higher, turning the grey sky to a pale, washed-out blue. The house is still. The world is still. But inside me, a storm has been raging all night. And now, in the calm that follows a single cold thought, has solidified into something heavy and real. It's time. The phone feels like a block of ice in my hand. My fingers tremble slightly as I dial the number on the back of my own valid credit card, the one they didn't know about. I listen to the automated voice, a cheerful, soulless recording that guides me through a labyrinth of options. For English, press 1. For balance inquiries, press 2. To report a lost or stolen card, press 3. My thumb hovers over the keypad. This is the first step. The first stone to be laid in the foundation of their ruin. I press 3. The hold music is a generic, upbeat jazz tune that feels grotesquely inappropriate for the gravity of what I am about to do. I close my eyes and picture David's face. The way he looked at me yesterday, his expression a perfect blend of pity and impatience. The architect of my cage so proud of his design. The music cuts off abruptly. Thank you for holding speaking with Brenda at Global Trust Financial. How can I help you today? Her voice is professionally pleasant. A voice trained to soothe and reassure. I take a breath, steadying my own. Hello, Brenda. I need to report a card as stolen. I can certainly help you with that, Maram. Can I have the name on the account, please? The name is Elizabeth Thompson. Elizabeth. Thompson, Thompson. A faint clicking of a keyboard. Okay, Mrs. Thompson, I see you here. You re the primary account holder. Can you verify the last 4 digits of your social security number and your date of birth for me? I give her the information, my voice even measured. Each number, each word, feels like a nail being hammered into a coffin. Their coffin. Perfect, thank you for verifying. Now, which card are we reporting today? I see you have 1 primary card and 1 authorized user card on this account. It's the authorized user card, I say, and the words taste like metal in my mouth. The one issued to David M. Thompson. Okay, she says, her tone unchanged. And can you confirm when you believe the card was stolen? Here it is. The lie that is also the truest thing I have ever said. It was stolen a long time ago. The trust it represented was stolen. My security was stolen. My love was stolen and weaponized against me. I believe it was compromised yesterday, I say, my voice a carefully constructed imitation of a confused elderly woman. But the fraudulent activity has been going on for some time. I didn't understand what I was seeing until now. I understand, Ma'am. It can be very upsetting. We'll take care of this right away. I am placing an immediate freeze on the authorized user card ending in 627-8-9 issued to David M. Thompson. Any attempted transactions will be declined. We will also cancel this card and issue a new one to you, the primary holder, if you wish. No, I say a little too quickly. I soften my tone. No, thank you. Just freeze his card. Permanently. I don't want him to be an authorized user on my account anymore. Please remove him. Of course, Mrs. Thompson. I am removing David M. Thompson as an authorized user effective immediately. The card associated with his name is now inactive. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? No, Brenda. I say the name feeling strange on my tongue. You've been very helpful. You have a good day now, Mrs. Thompson. The line clicks dead. I set the phone down on the polished wood of the end table. Silence rushes back into the room. 1. The first lock has been turned. The financial artery I unwittingly provided has been clamped shut. I imagine David at a coffee shop at a gas station, at one of his fancy lunches with Sophia. I see his card being declined, the flicker of annoyance, then confusion, then the slow dawning realization that he has lost control. The thought sends a grim, satisfying shiver through me. But there is no time for satisfaction. There is only time for the next step. The second call. This one is harder. This one requires a performance worthy of the stage. I let an hour pass. I make myself a cup of tea, my hands still not entirely steady. I sit and stare at the wall, rehearsing my lines, my tone. I need to sound broken. I need to sound like the woman they believe me to be frail, confused, and utterly defeated. I pick up the phone again. My heart hammers against my ribs. I dial David's number from memory. It rings twice. Mom. His voice is wary, cautious. He's expecting a fight, an argument, tears. I give him none of it. I let out a long, shaky sigh, a sound I have practiced in my head a dozen times. David, I say, my voice small thin, a pale imitation of its usual self. Mom, are you all right? You sound strange. I'm tired, David. I let my voice crack on the word. I'm just so tired of fighting. There's a pause on his end. I can almost hear the gears turning in his head, his suspicion warring with his triumphant ego. Ego wins. It always does with David. Mum, what are you saying? His tone softens, but it's a predatory softening, the way a wolf might nuzzle a lamb before the slaughter. You are right, I whisper, and the words are ash in my mouth. You and Sophia. You are right. I can't manage on my own anymore. The incident at the grocery store. It was a wake-up call. I pause, letting him savor the moment. I'm ready to talk. About Serenity Meadows. The silence on the other end is electric. I can feel his smile through the phone. It's a vast, predatory thing. Oh, Mum. His voice is now dripping with a thick, syrupy condescension that makes my stomach turn. I'm so glad to hear you say that. We were so worried. This is the right decision. The only decision. For your own good. I know I murmur playing my part. I want to get it over with. Can you come tonight, you and Sophia, and bring Lily? I'd like to see her. We can go over the details, the paperwork. Of course, Mom. Of course we can. We will be there. 7 o'clock sharp. We bring everything. You just rest until then. Don't you worry about a thing. We'll take care of everything from here. Thank you, David, I say, my voice barely a breath. Thank you. I hang up before he can dispense any more of his false comfort. I place the phone back in its cradle, my hand now perfectly steady. The house is no longer just a house. It's a stage. The props are in place. The actors have been summoned. And tonight the curtain will rise on the final act. I spend the rest of the day in a state of hyper-aware calm. I clean the house not as a chore but as a preparation. I dust the television screen until it gleams. I wipe down the coffee table where they will place their documents, their instruments of my surrender. I move through the rooms of my life, the life Richard and I built, the life they intend to dismantle and sell for parts. And I feel not sadness, but a cold, righteous fury. The trap is laid. All I have to do now is wait for the rats to arrive. The sound of their car pulling into the driveway arrives at precisely 7 o'clock. The crunch of tires on gravel is louder than a gunshot in the evening quiet. I watch from the window as they get out. David looking smug and self-important, holding a leather briefcase. Sophia beside him, her face a mask of saccharine concern. a folder of documents tucked under her arm, and Lily trailing behind them, her head down her shoulders, slumped. She looks like a prisoner being led to an execution. My heart aches for her, a small, sharp pain amidst the cold resolve. She is the only innocent in this sordid play. I open the door before they can ring the bell. You rewrite on time, I say, my voice maintaining that fragile, defeated tone I had practiced. Of course, Mum, David says, stepping inside and placing a perfunctory kiss on my cheek. It feels cold. We wouldn't be late. Sophia glides past me, her perfume cloying and expensive. Oh, Elizabeth, this is for the best you'll see. We found a lovely corner room for you at Serenity Meadows. It gets the morning sun. Her eyes are already scanning the living room, not at the family photos, but at the furniture, the paintings, the dimensions of the space. I can see the dollar signs flashing behind her pupils. She's already mentally staging the house for a real estate listing on Zillow. Hello, Grandma, Lily says, her voice soft. She gives me a quick, tight hug. It's the only genuine thing I've felt all day. Hello, my sweet girl, I whisper back, squeezing her hand. Why don't we all sit down, I suggest, gesturing towards the sofa. We have a lot to discuss. They settle onto the couch, David in the middle, radiating an aura of patriarchal authority. He places his briefcase on the coffee table with a decisive thud. Sophia sits beside him, opening her folder. We have the preliminary application for Serenity Meadows right here, she begins, her voice all business. And I took the liberty of contacting our real estate agent just to get an initial appraisal of the house. The market is very strong right now. We could probably list next week, and before we discuss my future, I interrupt, my voice suddenly clear and steady. The frail, defeated old woman vanishes. The change is so abrupt that they both stop and stare at me. I want to show you something about yours. David frowns. Mum, what are you talking about? We need to focus on. I hold up a hand, and the gesture is so full of command that he falls silent. I pick up the remote for the smart television. The large screen, dark and reflective, dominates the wall opposite them. With a single click, it hums to life. I don't need my laptop. I've already set it all up. Screen mirroring. A skill I learnt from a YouTube tutorial last week. My laptop S desktop appears on the 55-inch screen, my cursor, a large white arrow hanging in the air. Sophia shifts uncomfortably. Elizabeth, what is this? If this is some slideshow of old photos to try and make us feel guilty. It's not a slideshow, I say, my eyes fixed on the screen. With a slow, deliberate click of the mouse, I open a web browser. The homepage for Aeternum AI loads. Sleek, minimalist design. A video plays on a loop showing smiling, attractive people interacting with what looks like a video call. The tagline is simple and chilling love. Remembered. Recreated. David squints at the screen. What is this company? Some kind of digital memorial service. I don't answer him. I click on another tab. The Voxclone Premium website appears. Audio waveforms dance across the screen. Your voice. Theirs. Forever. Another click. Elysian secure hosting. A black screen with lines of code. Anonymity. Guaranteed. I let the images hang in the air for a moment. The corporate logos of their depraved enterprise filling my living room. Then with one final click, I close the browser. A spreadsheet fills the screen. It's a simple document I created myself in the dead of night. Column A. Victim. Column B. Date of bereavement. Column C. Service rendered. Column D. Amount billed to E. Thompson. A sharp intake of breath from Sophia. David's face, which had been a mask of condescending patience, begins to crumble. I've been reviewing my credit card statements, I say, my voice as cold and hard as Riverstone. The one you thought you had complete control over. The one you forgot I was the primary holder of. I move the cursor and highlight a name in the first row. Daniel Petrov. His obituary was posted on Facebook 3 months ago. A car accident. He was 24. I look directly at David, his poor mother, grieving, heartbroken. She found your service. She paid you $5,000 for a deep fake birthday message from her dead son. That charge appeared on my statement 2 weeks after you maxed out the same card on a weekend getaway to Napa Valley. David's face is a ghastly shade of white. He opens his mouth, but no sound comes out. Let's see who else we have, I continue, my voice relentless. I move the cursor down to the next name. Maria Sanchez. Her husband, Carlos, died of a heart attack. You charged her $700 a month for your interactive grief counseling package, a weekly phone call with an AI clone of her husband's voice, a voice you built from old voicemails. She trustingly uploaded to your secure server. I read another name, James O'Connor. Died of cancer. His children paid $12,000 for a living legacy video for his memorial service, a deepfake of him giving a final speech you wrote. Another name, and another. A litany of the dead, a ledger of exploited grief. Each name is a hammer blow shattering the smug composure on their faces. David looks like he's going to be sick. Sophia is staring at the screen, her mouth a thin, hard line, her mask of composure, not just cracked, but completely gone, revealing the raw, ugly avarice beneath. The silence in the room is thick, suffocating. Lily has shrunk into the corner of the sofa, her face buried in her hands. David is breathing in short, shallow gasps, his eyes wide with a horror that is part discovery, part terror of being caught. It's Sophia who breaks first. Her carefully constructed facade shatters into a million pieces, and what's left is ugly, shrill, and desperate. This was David. She shrieks, her voice climbing into a hysterical register. She stabs a shaking, manicured finger at her husband. This was all his idea. He lost his job. He was desperate. He came to me with this insane plan. David flinches as if she struck him. He turns to look at her, his face a canvas of utter devastation. It's not just my accusation he's reeling from. It's the speed and venom of his wife's betrayal. He sees her for what she is in that moment, a life raft built for one. Sophia. No, he whispers, his voice broken. We were in this together. No, she screams, getting to her feet. You were the one who was always talking about it. Grief tech is the next big thing. There's a fortune to be made in digital afterlives. You roped me into it. I was just trying to support you, to support our family, because you failed. She's playing to an imaginary audience, to a judge and jury that aren't in the room, trying to write a new script on the fly where she is the victim, the reluctant accomplice. But I haven't delivered my final line yet. I let her tirade hang in the poisoned air. I let David absorb the full impact of her words. Then I speak, my voice dangerously soft, a whisper that cuts through her, shrieking more effectively than a shout. I was curious about your process. I say, my eyes locked on Sophia. I wanted to understand exactly what it was you were selling. I lean forward and click the mouse one last time. The spreadsheet vanishes, replaced by a simple audio player on the screen. A single file is loaded. New customer inquiry MP3. Sophia freezes. A new kind of fear enters her eyes. A primal, cornered animal fear. So I called your company, I continue in that same soft voice, pretending to be a new customer, a widow lost in her grief, desperate to hear her husband's voice one more time. I press the play button. The speakers on the television, the ones they had insisted, I buy for a better home cinema experience, crackle to life. The first voice that fills the room is my own, but it's a version of me I barely recognize. It's the voice I used on the phone with David, but amplified. It's frail, trembling, cracking, with expertly feigned sorrow. Hello, my recorded voice says. I was given this number. I was told, you could help me, my husband. He passed away last month. Richard. His name was Richard. I miss him so much. Is it really possible to see him again, to hear him? There's a pause, and then a second voice responds. It's crisp, professional, and chillingly familiar. It's the voice of a predator that has scented blood. It is without a shadow of a doubt, Sophia. Mrs. Thompson, is it? Sophia's recorded voice asks, her tone a perfect soulless blend of sympathy and efficiency. My name is Sophia. I'm a senior consultant with Aeternum. And yes, I can absolutely help you with that. I want to assure you that what you're feeling is completely normal, and our services are designed to provide comfort in these difficult times. David's head snaps toward his wife. His eyes are wide, not just with shock, but with a dawning, sickening comprehension. He thought he was the tech guy, the one who managed the back end, the websites, the processing. He thought Sophia just handled the client relations. My recorded voice continues playing its part. But how? How does it work? I don't understand the technology. And then Sophia on the recording delivers the killing blow. She explains the entire ghoulish process in gruesome clinical detail. It's quite straightforward, Mrs. Thompson, her voice coos from the speakers. You would provide us with any audio or video you have of Richard. Old voicemails, home movies, anything at all. Our proprietary Vox clone software analyzes his unique vocal patterns, his cadence, his pitch. We can essentially rebuild his voice from the ground up. For the visual component, we use Aeternum's deepfake engine. With just a few good photographs, we can generate a fully animated, photorealistic avatar of your husband. He can read a letter you write. He can wish you a happy birthday. For our premium package, we can even create a truly interactive grieving experience where you can have a real-time conversation with him. The AI will generate responses based on the personality profile we build. It will be just like he's there with you on a screen. The room is utterly silent, save for the sound of Sophia's voice, calmly, cheerfully explaining how she can puppeteer the dead for profit. She's not just an accomplice. She's not just a saleswoman. She's the architect, the high priestess of this digital necromancy. I watch David. His face has gone from white to a mottled, sickly grey. He's staring at his wife, as if he's never seen her before. He thought they were just running a shady tech startup, a morally ambiguous but ultimately victimless scam, managing social media accounts for the deceased, maybe. He had no idea. He had no idea she was the one on the phone, a digital ghoul, talking grieving widows and heartbroken parents into commissioning these monstrous interactive ghosts. He wasn't the mastermind. He was just the IT guy, the patsy. The man who set up the servers while his wife danced on graves. The recording clicks off. The silence that follows is absolute. It is the silence of a tomb. David slowly turns his head from the television screen to his wife. The look on his face is not anger. It is not even betrayal. It is a look of pure, unadulterated horror. He is looking at a monster he willingly brought into his home. Into my home. He finally sees. He sees it all. The silence that fell wasn't empty. It was dense, a physical weight pressing down on the four of them, sucking the air from the room. It was the silence of a collapsing star, the moment before the void. The recording of Sophia's voice, a ghastly chipper. Sales pitch for digital necromancy had clicked off, but the echo of it remained crawling under their skin. Sophia's breathing was a torn, ragged thing. Her face, which moments before had been a mask of condescending pity, was now a shattered mosaic of disbelief and fury. Her eyes darted from the blank television screen to my face, then to the damning spreadsheet still illuminated on its surface. A low growl started in her throat. "No," she whispered. The word. A dry leaf. Skittering across pavement. Then louder. A crack in her voice. "Number, you faked that. That's not me. That S, the AI. You reusing our technology against me. You clever, senile old witch." She lunged, not for me, but for the remote on the coffee table, a desperate, clumsy scramble to erase the evidence to turn back time by pressing a button. But David's hand shot out, not to stop her, but to simply fall limp on the table, his fingers brushing against the wood. He was a puppet with its strings cut. He made a sound, a single, guttural choke, like a man who'd just been run through from behind. He didn't look at Sophia. He didn't look at me. He stared at his own hands resting on his knees, turning them over and over as if they belonged to a stranger. These were the hands that had typed the emails, the hands that had approved the transactions, the hands that had signed the papers to put his own mother away. He was a man, hollowed out the core of him, scooped clean. I watched them. The fury, the collapse. And in that moment I felt a tremor, not of victory, but of profound tectonic grief. This wasn't a win. It was a necessary amputation. The phantom limb of my family was already aching. For a fleeting second, I didn't see the monsters they had become. I saw the ghost of a little boy with a scraped knee holding my hand and crying for a bandage. I saw the ghost of a nervous young woman at her first family dinner, trying so hard to impress Richard. The memories were sharp, painful, and then they dissolved like smoke against the cold, hard glass of what they had done. What I had done. It was Lily who broke the spell. She had been standing by the doorway the entire time, a pale, silent observer. We had all forgotten she was there. Her phone was clutched in her hand, a small black rectangle held like a shield. Her voice, when it came, was barely a whisper, but it sliced through the thick, poisoned air. I heard everything. Sophia froze her hand, hovering over the remote. David's head snapped up, his eyes glassy and unfocused. Lily took a hesitant step into the room. Her face was pale, her eyes wide and swimming with a terrible adult sorrow that no child should ever have to know. I came to get my tablet, she said, her voice trembling. You were shouting. I stood in the hall. I started recording. She held up the phone, the screen dark. When you started shouting about the house, about Serenity Meadows. She looked at her father, her expression pleading as if begging him to deny it, to give her a reason to believe it was all a horrible mistake. Dad, you told me Grandma was getting confused. You told me you were trying to help her, to keep her safe. Her voice cracked on the last word. You weren't helping her. You were hurting her. You were lying to me. David flinched as if struck. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He just looked at his daughter, his beautiful, bright daughter, and saw the wreckage of her trust in his eyes. Sophia, however, found her voice again. It was laced with venom. Lily put that phone away. This is a private family matter. Your grandmother is having an episode. She's confused. She's not confused. Lily shot back, a spark of defiance flaring in her eyes. She looked at me, and in that look I saw an alliance forged in the ruins. Grandma showed me the list, the names. Her gaze swung back to her parents. I saw the other families, the other people you were robbing. It wasn't just about Grandma anymore, was it? It was never just about her. A new sound began to thread its way into the room. Faint at first, a distant, mournful cry in the suburban quiet. A siren. Sophia's head whipped toward the window. Her face went slack with a new, purer kind of terror. What did you do? She hissed at Lily, her voice low and dangerous. Lily didn't shrink away. She stood her ground, tears finally beginning to stream down her pale cheeks. I didn't want to, she whispered, her voice breaking with the weight of her choice. I swear I didn't want to. But what else could I do? I called the police. The siren was no longer a question. It was an answer, growing louder, closer, an inevitable wave of consequence, cresting over our quiet street. David let out a soft whimper and seemed to fold in on himself, his shoulders collapsing. The approaching wail was the soundtrack to the end of his world. Then the flashing lights began. Blue and red, strobing silently, washing over the living room. They painted Sophia's face in garish, shifting colours. Her mouth a perfect O of horror. They illuminated the vacant despair on David's face, the glistening tear tracks on Lily's, the grim, unyielding set of my own jaw. The family portrait on the mantelpiece, a smiling, happy lie from a sunnier time, was bathed in the cold, harsh light of justice. A car door slammed shut outside. Then another. Heavy footsteps crunched on the gravel of the driveway. A loud official knock echoed from the front door. Thump, thump. No one moved. The sound hung in the air, a final damning judgment. Sophia stared at the door as if she could hold it shut with the force of her will. David had his eyes squeezed shut, a child hiding from a monster. I was the one who spoke. My voice was steady, clear. It's open, I called out. Come in. The door swung inward, and two uniformed officers stepped into the foyer. They were young, professional, their faces impassive as their eyes took in the scene. They saw the expensive television still glowing with the spreadsheet of victims. They saw the scattered legal papers on the dining table, and they saw the four of us frozen in our tableau of domestic horror. The hysterical wife, the broken husband, the weeping child, and the old woman sitting in her armchair like a queen on a throne of ashes. We received a call about a domestic dispute and possible fraud. One of the officers said, his hand resting calmly on his belt. Sophia finally snapped. "She's lying," she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger at me. "This is my mother-in-law. She's suffering from dementia. She gets confused. She makes things up. We were trying to help her." The officer's gaze flickered to Lily, who was still holding her phone. "Is that true, Ma?" He asked me, his voice patient but firm. Before I could answer, Lily spoke, her voice clear despite her tears. "It's not true. My mother is lying. I have a recording of the entire thing. That was it. The final nail." The officer nodded slowly, his partner already speaking quietly into his shoulder radio. He looked from Sophia to David. "Sir Ma, I'm going to need you to stand up, please." David complied without a word, rising like a condemned man walking to the gallows. He offered no resistance, as the officer gently guided his hands behind his back. The first click of the handcuffs was a sharp metallic sound that seemed to sever the last thread connecting him to his old life. Sophia, however, fought. "Get your hands off me. Do you know who we are? You can't do this." "It's her," she screamed, thrashing, as the second officer took her arm. Her eyes wild with hate locked on me. "You did this. You destroyed your own family. You will die alone. You miserable old hag." Her words were meant to be a curse, but they fell flat. I met her gaze, and for the first time in my life, I felt no sting of guilt, no pang of duty. Just a vast cold emptiness where my love for them used to be. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't have to. The thought was as clear as the flashing lights in my living room. "No, my dear, you did this. I just finally turned on the lights." The click of Sophia's handcuffs echoed the first, a final percussive end to the life we once knew. The sound of that closing door, as they were led away, the quiet finality of it all that was the sound of my freedom. The sound of those handcuffs clicking shut reverberated for months. It became the silence in the house, a space suddenly too large, haunted by the ghosts of what could have been. It was the clipped, professional tone of lawyers on the phone discussing depositions and discovery. It was the heavy thud of the gavel in a stuffy, wood-panelled courtroom I only ever saw on the local news. The seasons turned outside my window, the last of the autumn leaves giving way to the stark grey blanket of winter. But inside, it was always that one evening frozen in time, bathed in red and blue light. The media, of course, had a field day. The story was too lurid to ignore. They didn't call it a family tragedy. They gave it a catchy, cruel name, the Willow Creek Ghost Scammers. It was a sensation. Tabloids ran grainy photos of David and Sophia being led away in cuffs. So-called body language experts on morning talk shows analyzed their slumped shoulders and defiant glares. A whole ecosystem of online content creators feasted on our family's carcass. TikTok lawyers, sharp and young in their home offices, broke down the charges of fraud and elder abuse in 60-second videos, complete with pointing gestures and trending audio. True crime podcasters, their voices low and intimate, released weekly episodes, breathlessly speculating on every detail. They debated Sophia's obvious narcissism, David's pathetic weakness, and my own transformation from frail victim to calculated avenger. I was a character in their story now, a puzzle for them to solve. I didn't have to testify in person. My deposition given in a quiet office with only my lawyer and Lily present was enough. But I followed the trial. I watched the clips on my laptop. I saw Sophia on the stand, dressed in a conservative navy suit, her performance flawless. She was calm, collected, painting herself as a visionary businesswoman, betrayed by a weak, desperate husband who had gone too far. She tried to throw him under the bus with a cold, surgical precision. Then I saw David. He was a shell, He'd lost weight, his expensive suit hanging off his skeletal frame. He didn't even try to defend himself. He just sat there a ghost already accepting his fate. When they played Lily's recording in the courtroom, the audio was clear. The entire room heard Sophia's ghastly pitch. The jury heard it. The judge heard it. The world heard it. And in that moment, I felt nothing. Not triumph. Not satisfaction. Just the quiet, heavy finality of a chapter closing. The grief had been processed on that night in my living room. This was just the epilogue. The paperwork. Sophia, as the clear mastermind, got 12 years. David, for his role as a compliant, if not enthusiastic accomplice, received a lesser sentence of 5. The gavel fell, and it was over. The media moved on to the next scandal. The world kept spinning. The first thing I did was call a real estate agent. The house had to go. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a crime scene. A monument to a life of quiet submission. And I refused to be its curator. The agent was a young woman named Chloe, full of chirpy, relentless optimism. She talked about curb appeal and staging, about open houses and bidding wars in the hot suburban market. I just nodded, letting her words wash over me. Packing was the hardest part. Every drawer, every closet held a landmine of memory. I found a box of David's childhood drawings, lopsided sons and stick-figure families where everyone was smiling. I found my wedding album, Richard, looking so young and proud me, looking so hopeful and naive. I kept one picture of him, a small one from a trip we took to the coast, and put the album in a box for donation. I was not erasing my past, but I was choosing which parts of it to carry forward. The rest was baggage. The day the new owners came for the keys, a young family with 2 small children, I felt a strange sense of detachment. The mother was excited, talking about which walls they would paint, where the new sofa would go. I just smiled, handed her the keys, and walked away without looking back. I wasn't leaving a home. I was escaping a museum. The city was my antidote to the suburbs. I bought a modern apartment in a high-rise in downtown Chicago. The walls were glass, the lines were clean, and the view stretched for miles, a glittering tapestry of light and steel and endless possibility. The silence here was different from the silence in the old house. It wasn't the heavy, suffocating silence of absence. It was the crisp, clean silence of peace, of choice. My new life began to take shape, one small, deliberate act at a time. I learned the schedules of the L trains. I found the best bakery in my neighborhood. I discovered the joy of walking through Millennium Park on a weekday morning anonymous and unburdened, just another face in the crowd. Lily was my constant. She had moved into a dorm in the city for her graphic design program, and she visited every weekend. Our time together was the foundation of my new world. There was an unspoken agreement between us. We never talked about her parents. Their names were ghosts we had mutually agreed to let rest. Their chapter was closed. Instead, we talked about her classes, her excitement over a new digital illustration tablet, her frustrations with a difficult professor. We argued about the best deep dish pizza, and I helped her critique her latest design project. I showed her how to use the new camera I'd bought, and she patiently tried to teach me the arcane mysteries of Photoshop. In her, I saw the future. I saw the family I hadn't lost, but the one I had gained, and I embraced the very technology that had been used to cage me. I signed up for online courses. I took digital photography, learning about aperture and light, finding beauty in the stark geometry of the city. And I took a course in financial management. The same kind of online banking portal where I had first uncovered David's betrayal, I now used to track my own investments, to build my own portfolio, to secure my own future. The same internet that my son and daughter-in-law had used to create phantoms of the dead, I now use to connect with the living, to learn, to grow, to explore. Every password I typed, every website I visited, every click of the mouse was a small, quiet declaration of independence. I stand by the window now, the city sprawling out beneath me, like a carpet of fallen stars. The world is so much bigger than I ever allowed myself to see. From my old kitchen window, the view was always the same: the manicured lawn, the neighbor's fence, the small circumscribed world I had accepted as my own. Here the horizon is endless. For 75 years I lived a life on loan. I was a passenger. a partner, a supporting role. My husband Richard wasn't a cruel man. He was simply a man of his time, and I was a woman of mine. He loved me, I have no doubt of that. But he saw me as the gentle manager of his home, a partner to his life, not the architect of my own. I accepted that. It was the only script I knew. My son saw the same thing. He didn't see a person. He saw a resource, an asset to be managed, a line of credit to be used, and eventually an account to be closed. They thought they could freeze my life like they froze my bank account. They thought they could take a pair of scissors and snip me in half at a grocery store checkout line, invalidating my existence with a single dismissive cut. They tried to cancel me. Like a magazine subscription you no longer have time for. Like a service that is no longer useful. They were wrong. They made the one mistake that the arrogant and the entitled always make. They never read the fine print. They never checked the terms and conditions of the life they were trying to hijack. They forgot the most fundamental rule of all. It was never about the money, or the house, or the things they wanted to steal. It was about the name that started it all. The person who opens the account is the one who holds the ultimate power. The primary card holder. I look out at the sprawling city, at the millions of lights, each one a life, a story, a world unto itself. For so long I was just an authorized user in my own life, granted limited privileges by others. My choices were pre-approved. My spending limit was set. Not anymore. The account is fully in my name now. There are no co-signers. There are no authorized users adding their own reckless charges to my history. The debt has been paid. The balance is zero. My name is Elizabeth. I am 76 years old. And for the very first time, I am the primary holder of my own life.